Warning, this video may contain some material that many parents may find unsuitable for children under the age of 14. We use Dremel tools, sharp objects, swear a lot, well, sometimes, and overall, anybody under the age of 14 shouldn't be watching this unless you have a parent with you. And if you do watch, I hope you enjoy it. Hey, it's Keith from Outlaw Speed Shop, and this week is a kind of a kit bash. It's been a while since I did a post-apocalyptic vehicle, and this is it. So as always, if you like what you see, make sure you subscribe, and then ring that bell to get notified every time I upload videos. So yeah, it's been a while since I've done a post-apocalyptic Gasland style build. So I challenged myself a little bit on this one, and I'm going to apologize up front. This is going to be a two-parter because I had over 2 hours of footage. So I'm going a little bit more in depth, and I'm going to break it up into two parts. So start off by taking apart these three vehicles. The Way Too Fast, which has a dual motor, the Caddy, which was a Hot Wheels as well, and then I have a Jada, I think it's a Jada Toys off-road truck, and I wanted that for the chassis. So I have a vision for this, and for the most part I actually stick to it for a change, which is weird because I never do that. The way I go about it was a little challenging, and hence the longer video. So I know what I want, and I know I want to mount the Caddy body to the Jada chassis, and I want to be able to squeeze two motors in as well. So I know I'm going to pretty much abandon the chassis that came with the Cadillac, but I need the front and rear bumper because those are iconic, and I just think it adds, you know, at least 5 degrees of coolness. So I have to keep those. So I'm going to trim that off, and I'm pretty much going to trash what's left of the chassis for the Cadillac. You'll see I use a variety of tools, from Dremel tools to saws to, you know, you name it. So one of the main problems with this chassis is it's wider than the actual body of the Cadillac. So I'm going to start by trimming a little bit off all the wheel wells. If it looks like I'm kind of just hacking stuff up, it's pretty much because I am. I'm just cutting things until it fits. I don't measure anything. I just kind of go a little bit at a time and use some visual guidelines for what I'm going to do. So to get the two motors in there, I decided I was going to cut, and I kind of knew I was going to do this anyways, I just didn't know where. I'm going to cut the nose off the Cadillac and extend it out. So right at the bottom of the wheel wells where it comes down, I'm going to cut, and here again using a different tool, I'm using my jeweler's saw so I can get a nice straight cut. And I only break 2 blades during this process, so I'm getting better. Awesome tool. If you use it, get plenty of blades, because no matter how careful you are. So here I'm kind of, and I do this probably 100 times, and I don't show all of them, but I mock up a ton of stuff. So even though I cut the wheel wells, the sides of the chassis itself on the Jada truck is a little too wide still. So I'm going to cut the running boards off, and then I'm going to trim it down. It works out to be about maybe 3/16 of an inch on each side. Again, I don't measure anything. I just kind of go by eye. The overall, I mean, pretty much from front to back, the chassis was too wide. So a little bit, the nose was okay. The tail was all right a little bit, but the whole sides was just really, really wide. So the best way to do this is just, for me, was the Dremel tool with a cutoff wheel. And just slowly grind down, test fit, grind down a little bit more, test fit. 100 is probably underestimating how many times I test fit this thing. So once I do that, I know to get the rake, I'm leaving the wheel wells in the back are a good prop to be able to hold the body up. So to make it not look goofy, I'm going to cut the front of the front fender wells so that the whole nose is pretty well straight. because it just looks stupid because there's no wheel there. And with extending it out, it really just it's stuck out pretty bad. So this was a little change that wasn't a big deal. And you'll find as you do this, getting started is the hard part. Once you get started and start putting crap on, you start, if you can keep moving, it just you get into a flow. And like here, I want to get the nose, but I want the nose to be a little bit of a rake, so the whole, to match the body. In order to do that, I've got to cut the tops of the fender wells. So what I'm doing is there's a shock, like a faux molded in shock tower in there. See that? I didn't even cut my thumb off. So I'm using that as my guideline. I end up cutting it one more time. So there's my two engines out of the way too fast. Obviously, I don't need the interior. I don't need the front. And there was some extraneous material there that I'm going to end up grinding off just because it made no sense, and it was just part of the molded aspect of being in with the way too fast chassis. So I'm cutting all that out, and pretty much just so that I have the two motors, but I'm leaving them together. I'm not going to cut each one and place it individually. There was just no need. The spacing seemed pretty legit, so I was happy with that. Again, this is for, I'm trying to visualize what I'm going to do here and get the chassis and the body mated up to where I think it's going to look good, and then see how far I have to extend that nose. Obviously, I'm not going to extend it all the way. So in order to save a little bit of space, I'm just going to, you can see I'm kind of marking off the nose there, what I'm going to cut out. And I believe I use a combination of the cutoff wheel and the saw. So now that gives me a little bit more space, and I don't have to have it sticking out absurdly far. I mean, I want a little bit of absurd just to, because of the style of the vehicle. I don't want it to be stock looking. So I go into my collection of assorted styrene bits and pieces that I get, excuse me, and I'm going to start extending the nose, but at the same time, I'm also going to make a platform for the motor to sit on. So there's a couple screw holes and post holes and stuff like that I need to make sure I'm raised above. So I'm going to take these little pieces. You can see right here, I decided to cut it just a little bit more just to get the right rake and give me the right clearance as well. So again, don't be afraid to do things twice. You can always cut more if you cut less at first and fit and see how it's going to work. And you can always cut more afterwards. So here I'm kind of marking off where I need to be and fitting it again. Just to make sure that I have the right distance and I'm not putting stuff where I don't need to put it. So I'll take the 1/16, I believe it's just square tubing, and I want to make a few pieces just to fill the gaps there where the holes are. And it raises it about half the distance above those holes, so it works out really well. And again, I'm not trying to be super neat. They're going to be a platform that's going to sit on top of that, which you'll see in a minute. But it's a good starting point for how we're going to do this. Now I want to take and extend the nose. So now what I was just doing was kind of fitting to see how far out I needed to go, because I need to make some sort of a support for the nose to actually sit on and give it a little bit of rigidity. So that's kind of what I'm doing here. Yeah, you can kind of see right there. I'm attempting to glue my fingers to the chassis. So I put them on, then I'll kind of straighten them out. And this works out really good because it gives me a good platform. So now I got to go about raising it up just a bit so I can get the right height to match the rake for the nose. And it'll all kind of make sense by the end of the video, because I'll have it mocked up. That's phase one, or part one of this two-part video series. Again, I apologize for, I think this video is going to be 15 minutes, and the next video is I had 2 hours of footage. Trying to edit it down and make it interesting at the same time, is without losing a lot of stuff, is tough. So I just made the rare call to make a two-parter. So here I'm making the platform. I'm just going to glue that on there. And that'll be what my motor is going to sit on. Motors, plural. And you can tell I don't measure anything. Very rarely. So the interior, because of the way everything sits, and with the fender wells in the rear, I'm using as a prop up to get the right rake. I need to cut a little bit of the interior out, so that's what I'm doing there. Just give myself a little bit more clearance. And now I'm kind of testing frame rails just to add A, to fill in the gaps, and B, give it something to rest on and keep the rake where I'm looking to keep it. And again, I'm fitting it up once again, which is, you can just, big projects like this, you're just constantly doing it, which is fine. So here I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to mount the front nose and keep it looking aesthetic, somewhat pleasing. I decided to kind of go a different route on this, and I may get crap for it. I don't know. I wanted something. I mean, this is a make-believe post-apocalyptic world, so you can kind of do what you want. So, we always rat these things out. We rust them and weather them and do all kinds of crazy stuff with them. And, this Cadillac it deserves so much better. So I decided to, I'm going to go a little bit different route with this. You'll see by the end of this part one, kind of the way I decided to go. And I found I think a happy mix for me personally of grunge versus cool. And that's kind of what I was after with this, is some sort of a coolness factor. And not every car has to be completely, eventually this thing would probably get beat to crap, but I'm looking at this as like it just came out of the body shop. The guy's cool. He's going to cruise up to his local Walmart because, Walmarts are the only thing that's left besides cockroaches and prostitutes in the post-apocalyptic world. So he's going to cruise up to Walmart, and, he wants to look kind of cool, and he's got his pimped out caddy, but he's still ready to go run over some people and pillage. So I'm back to raising up just a little bit the front radiator support. I do have more glue. I'm just trying to squeeze what I can out of this, obviously. So you can see here, I'm just raising it up just a little bit. I'm going to end up masking the entire chassis off, masking the wheels off, and painting everything chaos black anyway. So this part of the job is not that big of a deal. So I'm going to scuff up the paint a little bit before I strip it. It helps get some of the decals off. This paint looked really thick, so a couple seconds with a Scotch-Brite pad saves ton of time with the citrus strip, which is what I use. Not that it matters. I let it sit in there for days anyways. So even though the exterior is going to be rather eye-appealing, just like me, I want the outside to look better than the inside. So he doesn't care about the outside, the inside. So the interior got a brown or Agrath Earthshade dirty wash, just to give it that look. So here I've already painted the chassis with the Chaos Black from Citadel. It comes in a spray can. I love that stuff. And I'm mounting the motors. Pretty simple. I cleaned out the bottom of the motors. So here the nose and the body is primed, and Splash Paint's copper is what I went with. And then I added a Sparklescence, or Cosmic Sparkle, from Createx. And then I clear coated it. This stuff is amazing. I wish, it's funny because I could care less about this paint job, and it came out amazing. So it just goes to show you. So this is about the end of one video, and I will have the other one uploaded probably by the time you watch this. If not, it'll be a day or so. So here's a good look at what it looked like with kind of mocked up a little bit more. Look at that paint. That came out so good. He's going to be rocking the wastelands. But thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on part 2.